Hi again. It's Paula, LymphoMamma here. Catchy phrase, isn't it? Anyway, before I really go into sharing stories and lessons I've learned about being a caretaker, I feel you need to know the story of my daughter's journey with the medical issues. Maybe some of it you can relate to, and you can share your stories back to me. Okay, so here we go. I'll try to make it brief. My daughter found out that at 19 years old, she had Hodgkin's lymphoma. She was in school. It was October. Let's move back a few months before that. She was home for the summer. She was doing great. She had a nanny job. She had a waitress job, coming home at night, throwing all the money up that she made in tips. She was going to the gym, and guess what? She lost that freshman 15. I actually get chills when I say that because she was working so hard to lose the weight, and she was feeling so great about herself that summer. And then she went back to college, and everything was fine. And then, I know the date, it was like October 14th. She starts texting me a lot. And you know, as moms, when you don't hear from your kids, everything's fine. But when you start hearing from them, something's not right. I started getting these texts. Mommy, my legs hurt. Mommy, it's hard for me to walk. Mommy, it's hard for me to breathe. Mommy, my chest is hurting so much. Mommy, I'm waking up in the middle of the night with night sweats. Oh my God, Mommy, I have to change my sheets and my mattress pad is wet. I have to do this every day. And I'm like thinking, what the heck is wrong with her? So she wanted to get a Fitbit, and we let her get it, and she started monitoring her heart rate. And then I'm getting these texts, Mommy, my resting heart rate is 130. Something was not right. She came home at Thanksgiving, and I knew we had to take her to a doctor. We didn't really have a family doctor that we liked, so I took her to the urgent care. And he ran some blood work on her, and he pulled me to the side. I've never seen this man before. And he said, look, you can't bring your daughter back to school. There's something wrong. We need to find out. And I was like, wait a minute. She only has 3 more weeks of her semester. She has finals. She has to go back to school. And he said, no. He got me an appointment on Monday to go to a hematologist. He said, don't be scared. It's a cancer center. Don't be scared by the word. He's a hematologist. He studies blood. So we went and we saw this nice young doctor. And he said, no problem. This is a quick fix. You only have low iron, which is also known as iron deficiency anemia, IDA. And I thought, low iron? What is this from? I know her menstrual cycles are not that bad. I don't understand. So we brought her back to school because we had to wait a week for insurance to cover the iron infusions. And then I went to pick her up. Mind you, it's 2.5 hours going to and from school. And she had her first infusion. And then 2 weeks later, we had to go back for the second infusion. Now, on a side note, I'm a big Facebook person, and I joined this group, Iron Deficiency Anemia, and I was reading all about the symptoms that women have that have low iron. A lot of them matched my daughter's symptoms, not the sweating though. Nobody really had the night sweats. And I was thinking, this is awful, strange. And one day I posted my daughter's blood results on their Facebook page. And I had somebody get back to me. Actually, it was a guy. There's not many men on the group, mostly women. And he said, look, her ferritin levels are at 2,000. That is a sign of massive inflammation. So we went back to the hematologist, and I said, hey, why her ferritin levels are so high? Do you think there's some inflammation in there? And he didn't say much. He didn't think there was much to it. Okay, so she had her 2 iron infusions, And it was Christmas time now. Still not doing well, but she went back to school and she was doing a little bit better after the 2 iron infusions. And I was like, it is a simple fix. Then around the second week in February, start to get those texts again. I'm not feeling well. Mommy, it's so hard for me to walk to class. Mommy, I cannot walk up the stairs. Mommy, I'm getting a police escort to go to class. So that was a big thing, police escort. I called the hematologist up and I told him what was going on, that my daughter needs a police escort to go to class. And he said, look, her blood level is fine. There's nothing else I can do for you. You need to go to a primary care doctor. So I found a doctor up at her school and made an appointment. And the week before we got together for the weekend and she was laying there just so limp. All she wanted to do was take Epsom salt baths. It just relaxed her. And she looked at me and she says, Mommy, I think I have cancer. And, you know, through all this, I never thought she had cancer. And even when she said that she thought she had cancer, I still didn't think she had cancer. I said, no, there's no way that you have cancer. Nobody in our family on both sides has cancer except for my mom, and she was 76. You do not have cancer. Anyway, the next week we went to this GP up at her school, and I brought the blood results from the hematologist, a copy to show her. I gave it to her. She looked at it, and her face was horrified, just horrified. And at that moment, my daughter and I knew something was not right. And at that moment, I thought, does my daughter have cancer? So she ordered Lena to get a chest x-ray. It was a Friday afternoon, so she could not get it until Monday. She got the chest x-ray in the morning, and around 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a text from my daughter. I'm in class taking this test, and I am dripping wet. My paper's getting wet. And shortly thereafter, I get a phone call, I think it was, from the doctor saying, something came up in that chest x-ray. We need to look more into this. 6:30 at night, my daughter calls me. She's just really having a hard time breathing. And I say, go to the ER. So she went with her roommate. Her roommate took her to the ER. And I told my husband, we need to go up to school. He hurried around. He had to email his boss. And I ran upstairs and I got a suitcase and just threw everything in because I thought maybe I was going to be up at school for a few weeks. And then I had my 2 dogs at home, one who has dementia. And thank God that my son lived at home at the time, because I don't know what I would have done. I would have just left and just left my dogs here. But he was here and he was able to care for my 15-year-old dog with dementia and my other dog. And I thank him very much for that. So we're on our way up. It's probably 9 o'clock at night on Route 66. And my husband said, why don't you call Steve? Steve is a pulmonologist in our family. So I texted him the blood results. And he called me back in the car ride up. I put him on speaker, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, Paula, this is not good. This looks like cancer. This is not good, and you need to take this very seriously. He asked if the doctor ever checked for leukemia, and I says, no. And he said, look, this is what you need to do. You need to go up to the hospital, get her out of there, and get her to a teaching hospital. And this is the first thing I want to share with you as a caretaker or somebody who's starting out their journey, it was such a good recommendation to go to a teaching hospital opposed to just a normal hospital. Anyway, I got off the phone and I started crying. I'm not one to cry, but I did start crying on the way up. My daughter may have cancer. My 19-year-old daughter who's at college, who's studying to be a teacher, may have cancer. And this was the only time that I've ever cried. And to this day, Lena will ask me, Mommy, why don't you cry? Why have you not cried through any of this? And I've always just shrugged my shoulders, but I'll answer her now. And Lena, if you're watching this, please know this is my answer. Lena, I never cried because I had to be strong. Not only strong for myself, but I had to be strong for you. I had to have you know that I was strong so that you could be strong.